April 14th, 1912. The RMS Titanic was the biggest ship the world had ever seen. People called it a floating palace. And honestly, everyone thought this ship was basically unstoppable. Thousands of passengers stepped on board with huge dreams. For many, this wasn't just a journey across the ocean, it was a chance at a brand new life. The Titanic had everything: fancy rooms, amazing food, and technology that seemed years ahead. Back then, people were saying, "This thing is a masterpiece." But here's the crazy part. Just hours before the disaster, nobody knew what was coming. The ocean looked peaceful, and life on Titanic felt completely normal. That evening, radio operators started receiving messages about ice in the Atlantic. Several ships warned Titanic about dangerous icebergs ahead. But the Titanic kept moving fast. The crew believed they could handle the situation. And honestly, nobody expected things to go this badly. Night arrived. The sky was completely dark, and the freezing Atlantic Ocean became almost impossible to see through. At 11:40 p.m., something appeared ahead. A giant iceberg was sitting silently in the Titanic's path, and there was almost no time left. The warning came too late. The Titanic turned, but the iceberg scraped along the ship's side. A moment later, everyone felt a strange vibration. At first, many passengers didn't panic. They thought it was nothing serious. But slowly, the truth started spreading. Titanic was damaged. Within minutes of the collision, Captain Edward Smith was informed. At first, he hoped the damage wasn't serious. But as reports arrived from below deck, he realized this wasn't just another accident. The Titanic was in real danger. Ship designer Thomas Andrews rushed below deck to inspect the damage himself. Nobody knew the Titanic better than he did. And after only a few minutes, he already knew the heartbreaking truth. After carefully inspecting the damage, Thomas Andrews reached a devastating conclusion. 5 watertight compartments were already flooding. Titanic was only designed to survive 4. There was no fixing it. The world's most famous ship had less than 3 hours left. Crew members quietly moved through the hallways, knocking on cabin doors one by one. They stayed calm to avoid panic. Most passengers opened their doors believing it was only a routine safety check. Believe it or not, many passengers weren't worried at all. They had heard for years that the Titanic was unsinkable. To them, climbing into a small lifeboat felt far more dangerous than staying on the ship. Then came the order that changed everything. Women and children first. Families were suddenly forced to make impossible decisions. Some stepped into the lifeboats, while others chose to stay behind forever. Here's what's hard to believe. The first lifeboats left the Titanic half empty. Many passengers still believed the ship was safer than the freezing Atlantic below. Minute after minute, freezing seawater continued pouring into the lower decks. The pumps worked non-stop, but the ocean was winning. Time was something the Titanic no longer had. While panic slowly spread across the decks, the ship's musicians made a remarkable choice. They continued playing, hoping the music would bring comfort to frightened passengers during the darkest moments of the night. By now, the truth could no longer be denied. The Titanic wasn't going to survive the night. For everyone still on board, the longest and coldest hours of their lives had only just begun. As the situation became hopeless, Titanic's wireless operators sent desperate distress calls into the night. First came the signal CQD, then the newer SOS. Every nearby ship was asked the same question. Could anyone reach them before it was too late? One ship, the SS Californian, was closer than anyone realized. But its radio operator had already gone to bed. Miles away, the RMS Carpathia received the SOS and immediately turned toward Titanic, racing through the freezing Atlantic. As panic spread across the decks, something unforgettable happened. The musicians refused to stop playing. Their music echoed through the freezing night, giving frightened passengers one final moment of peace before chaos took over. Then came the moment no one could have imagined. The bow disappeared beneath the ocean while the stern rose high into the air. Under enormous pressure, the Titanic broke into 2 massive pieces. At 2:20 in the morning, the Titanic disappeared beneath the Atlantic Ocean. In just a few minutes, the lights were gone. The music had stopped, and the freezing silence took over. More than 1,500 people would never make it home. Hours later, as the sun finally rose, the RMS Carpathia arrived. It rescued the survivors who had endured one of the coldest nights in history. But for many others, help had come too late. More than a century has passed since that freezing April night. Yet the Titanic remains one of history's greatest tragedies. Its story reminds us that even the strongest creations can fall, and that courage, sacrifice, and hope can endure forever beneath the waves. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to subscribe for more Stickman Dark History.